Some say on Halloween night, if you go past 7 black gates, you will see the 7 gates of hell. I thought at first this was a myth until I tried it out for myself. I went past 7 black gates around my neighborhood, and then when I went to sleep, my dreams were in a furious fire. Then it stopped. There was a man, tall and bulky. His eyes were rather squinted, which shows he is old. His legs and hands were thin and looked like he could barely support his own weight. He spoke with a scratchy and dying tone. He said, "Immakro olnivs sting lefia." He chuckled and opened the gate. My whole body became numb. Moving on its own, I could not fight it. Struggling did not work. I gave up the fight and the struggling. Without control, I went past the first gate. Gate 1. I saw a fire shooting through corpses that were horribly mutilated, descent and burnt. They were sobbing loudly that I couldn't hear the crackles of the fire. One of them came to me with one eye and bullet holes all over him. He said, "We are the disgraced corpses who did not get a proper burial. We are here to stay until Judgment Day." I went past him into Gate 2. It was a building. Gate 2. I was in a dungeon. There were people tied up, screaming in pain. One was being sold in half very slowly, and his body kept being healing in a repeated cycle, so he can be sold again. One was in an Iron Maiden, with the door being closed and open. His body looked normal as ever. A man in an executioner's mask said to me, "We are the torturers, being tortured by our own devices." I went past him to the third gate. This time it was a forest. This time it was silent for except a few yells. There was a man hanging on a noose. Another one fell off a cliff and then reappeared again. I was running away from what I saw. A horribly burned woman chasing after me. I already knew who it was. These were the people who committed suicide. I ran to the fourth gate. It was a palace. I was in there. I saw emperors, politicians, and really wealthy people. An emperor who was being gnawed by lions. When the lions ripped a limb or slashed him, the paw grew back. A politician was being beaten by what looked like shadows in prisoners' clothes. A man in a suit came to me and said, "We are the corrupted people. The people who use their power on ourselves and not the people." I walked past him to the fifth gate. I was in another room. There was a man tied to a bed by floating spiky leather whips. A woman was being plucked. A lighter, but her screams were muffled by a cloth that was used as a gag. A rather large man came up to me and said, "We are the rapists and sex offenders, paying for our crimes on earth." I ran to the sixth gate. I was in a room again. There was a man being stabbed by a woman. That woman being healed almost immediately. Another person was being buried alive. Another was being hit and jabbed by a floating metal bar. I knew who these were. These were the people who were being murdered and being bombed by their own victims. The exit was gate 7. The final one. The nightmare is almost over. It's almost over, I said to myself. I was outside. A man wearing a shroud over his head, covered in explosives. He blew up, regenerated, and blew up again. Another one was beaten, stabbed by sharp metal objects, and burned by torches, lighters, and matches. These were held people that looked like they were shadows. One of them came up to me and says, "These are the mass murderers, the terrorists, and the suicide bombers. I'm a shadow of one of their victims, beating him and taking revenge for killing us on Earth." I ran to the exit. When I woke up in the morning, I've been horribly scared. Images I saw through my head. In fact, I was thinking of the whole year. It became Halloween again. I didn't dare to go outside that night. I was just in bed. It took me a while to sleep. When I did, I was in front of was scared to hell. There was a teenager like me. He was standing there. He was shocked to see me. My body became numb. I could not control myself again. I said to him in a scratchy, dying tone, "Immature or Neus Nelia." I chuckled and opened the gate for him. He went inside with a rather expression that looked like he was fighting and struggling. I looked to myself with a goal that would look like blood. I saw the gatekeeper. I became the gatekeeper. In fact, I am the gatekeeper.